Both were assassinated on a Friday in the presence of their wives, and both were shot in the head, which, to be fair, is where most assassins aim. Creeped out yet? Yeah, me too. You know that special kind of hell where the cars creep a few feet and then stop dead again. Creep, stop. Creep, stop. At this point, butterflies are making better time than you are.
So they put us in this huge room with an ancient TV and a steel cage. That's your only source of entertainment. And apparently, all it gets is reruns of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So honestly, after over 4 hours, I have two thoughts. First, why did we have to be here at 10 a.m. sharp to sit for 4 hours? And second, well, that Carlton is the whole show.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
Okie dokie. Episode 25? Pretty good. Yeah, I don't even know.
It says,
Yeah,
that's what it
25.
says. That's what the man said.
Okay, episode 25 for Decay.
Yeah, and we also we have some great shows coming up for this month of November. I know somebody's really excited about seeing Ulcerate.
Ulcerate, yep.
So
Doesn't get any better than that.
that'll be coming up. And we're also going to the Inhuman Condition show like 2 days later. So I
Yeah.
might have to take a day off of work after that.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Totally. And you know, we can hang out with those guys because they're really cool. So,
Yeah, and we'll definitely throw up some live streams. Maybe we'll get another picture for our wall. You never know.
you never know. Yep. Anyway, so interesting thing happened to me this week, right? So, my daughter, she lives out in California. She's exactly like I was at the age of 25, except that she actually has common sense and she's interested in more than just the pursuit of alcohol. Here's to that. Anyway, well, maybe, So, she sent me a text that said she's been into the band Mazzy Star lately. Oh, they're gonna can't take me anywhere. So she says that she's into the band Mazzy Star, and that's pretty much textbook dinosaur alternative at this point. And she asked if I could send some suggestions for similar songs and artists.
Well, neither one of us is afraid to go down the whole Velvet's Alternafolk rabbit hole. I mean, we lived the 90s, but there was a problem. After going through and putting together that playlist with all the Cowboy Junkies, Concrete Blondes, and Catherine Wheels, we couldn't get some of those songs out of our heads.
The real crusher was the Indigo Girls' Kid Fears. I could not purge it. It was like having a case of the hiccups for 4 days straight. So I decided I needed an oral enema. By the way, that's patented. I get a quarter every time you say it. So there. The one that I chose was in the form of the Neurosis High Colonic. 3 straight hours of Neurosis cleared me out. And those damn Indigo Girls are now reduced to an episode of Three Broke Girls in my subconscious somewhere.
Really? That is the worst when you get a song stuck in your head, isn't it? Especially when it's one you wouldn't normally like. I remember an interview with Alex Lifeson from Rush around 1993. I think they asked him if there was a song that he liked that people wouldn't expect. He said, "This Ace of Base business should be against the law."
Ace of Base business.
Ace of Base business.
That's a conspiracy.
I couldn't have said it better myself. 2 guys, 2 girls, Swedish, probably ABBA's illegitimate offspring. Just a sequence.
Yeah, totally.
Nobody likes being stuck in any capacity, do they? Yay, can I get stuck today? No, said no one ever. I have never been to Checkers, the burger joint, so I decided to give them a try. By the time I rolled up on the menu, I realized every option was a triple patty, megalith burger capable of feeding a small nation. Abort! Abort! Flee the heart attack grill! Except I couldn't, because I was stuck in the sophisticated series of curves that wound all the way back to the Terra Hall.
Yeah, they designed that so that you're not backing out of there. Yeah, you're stuck.
One of the cashiers came out to ask what I wanted, and all I could blurt out was, "Is this how you get customers? By trapping them like a rat in a maze?" Then I saw a tiny outlet in the lane and floored it, leaving her speechless. I'm sure she probably still talks about the lunatic in the Nissan.
I gotta be me. Yeah. Funny. The same thing happened the other day to me. I was trying to fix our broken front window curtains that my daughter pulled down out of boredom a few days ago, right? To replace the curtains and the rod, I ended up making not one but two trips to Home Depot on a weeknight when I was already exhausted from work. This always happens to me. The second time, I jumped in the car and I tried to get out of the Home Depot parking lot and I missed the outlet. I couldn't find a way out, and I actually said out loud, "Let me out of this fucking place!" Maybe I needed some decaf at that point. Ever gotten stuck with jury duty? Christ, every time I have to report, it's like a total day lost. Last time I went, they had a strict no cell phones policy. So I would show up and get wanded several times through the metal detector. Tell you what, that last guy was so thorough, I got his number and tried to tip him. This is not important to the story, though. Anyway, so they put us in this huge room with an ancient TV and a steel cage. That's your only source of entertainment. And apparently, all it gets is reruns of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So honestly, after over 4 hours, I have two thoughts. First, why did we have to be here at 10 a.m. sharp to sit for 4 hours? And second, well, that Carlton is the whole show.
Last time I went, I read an entire book and they never called my number at all. Basically, I got $15 for lunch to catch up on book club. Eventually, they call us in for the one-on-one encounters with the lawyers, and my number one goal is to be eliminated from any consideration that could lead to a long-term jury assignment. Ways to get yourself eliminated from jury duty? Let's dance.
Okay, ma'am, is there any reason why you feel you couldn't be an effective member of the jury in this case?
Well, as long as nobody talks about minorities. I dislike them in general. Or,
So, ma'am, do you think you could be an effective member of this jury in this case?
of course, yes. I don't believe a single word a cop ever says. Pigs. Manson was correct. Does that matter? Wait, I've said something wrong, haven't I? Stuck on hold. It's okay if the hold music is good,
It
but
never is.
face it, it's usually some repeated loop of smooth jazz, not Panama or something you could at least table drum to. The automated soothing voice that says, "Your call is very important to us," is infuriating. By the end, I'm screaming, "Obviously, it's not important, Deborah," like a lunatic. Then there's that click, that little break in the music where you think, "Oh my God, a person, someone's picking up."
You hold your breath, heart pounding, and then the same song just starts right back up again from the beginning. It's starting to feel like a psychological experiment. Finally, you give up after an hour. You put on speaker so everybody in the house can enjoy the pain. You walk away, and that's exactly when you hear a soft, distant, "Thank you for calling Comcast. Can I help you?" So you dive for the phone like it's a live grenade, but it's too late. They're gone.
And then, of course, there's the worst kind of stuck in traffic. You know, that special kind of hell where the cars creep a few feet and then stop dead again. Creep, stop. Creep, stop. At this point, butterflies are making better time than you are. There's always that one guy who just starts laying on his horn like he's Moses and the Red Sea's gonna part if he just leans hard enough. Yeah, Steve. I'm sure the 600 cars ahead of us didn't move just because you didn't remind them with your personalized Toyota Jazz solo. You've been sitting there so long, your butt's gone numb, the coffee's gone cold. You've reached the phase of despair where you start to brew some pretty dark thoughts. Who is responsible for this? It better be a 5-car pileup with 2 tractor trailers and a mulching machine twisted around together to make me this late. I mean, I paid my admittance. I want to see a show. But usually, by the time you get to the source of the backup, it's just 2 confused people on the side of the road. The cops nice enough to do nothing but set up those half-assed flame flares behind them. So helpful.
What good do they do anyway? And then there's, of course, being stuck at the crappy family party. You walk in and some random uncle in the back says, "It's about time." As you're putting gifts down and taking your coat off, some toddler runs headfirst into your knee, ugh, and flees away as you crumple to the floor in a heap. Little bastard. The air smells of food you don't want. Brussels sprouts and hot dogs. A random aunt says hello and starts a diatribe about her foot ailments and doctor visits. Her husband says something about how it looks like your wife has put on a little weight. You look around to see what they're watching. Oh, look, it's the Golf Channel. Sigh. Could Fresh Prince be on in another room? All right, we're talking about our feature interview.
Our feature interview this week is with Adam Sheneman. drummer and songwriter for the Danish epic black metal band Orm. We have a great chat with Adam that covers how Orm was formed from the ashes of his former band, By the Patient. He talks about the band's approach to songwriting for their amazing new album, Gould, that just dropped this week. He does a great job describing Orm's commitment to challenging themselves musically and lyrically on each album. And we even get to find out who the Joker and who the dad of Orm are. So stay tuned for that. Let's play a song. This is Undenfangen.
Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcast. And for $6.66 a month, you get a creepy ice cream van with squealing brakes full of Mark and Stace.
Exclusive content just for our patrons, full of things that you won't find here on our YouTube channel.
I may even be reviewing some of those crazy Neurosis albums that I had to listen to this week. It'll be over at Patreon, and it'll be brutally honest. I mean, let's face it, other comedy podcasts are just crappy over-the-hill stand-ups giving out tour dates. And speaking of crappy, I think it's time. Hit it.
And now it's time for Obnoxious Trivia!
Okay, it's up to you. Are we going to be educated or not? I vote not. Okay.
I went down quite a rabbit hole with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Mata Hari was executed by firing squad in 1917 for espionage. Before her trial, she became internationally famous for what? A. Inventing a perfume made from absinthe. B. Performing striptease dances. C. Becoming the world's first madam of a brothel. Or D. Riding elephants in a bikini for royal parades.
Okay. Well, D is way too cool to be true. I'm going to go with inventing a perfume made from absinthe.
The correct answer is she performed striptease dances.
Okay.
She was in kind of an unhappy marriage. One of her children died. The other one was taken away from her because she liked to do these striptease dances. But she had this way of kind of moving her body, and her garments would just fall off her. She was actually caught by the wrong side, and even though she was being a spy, the wrong side actually caught her. And when she was executed, she put on her high heels and she refused the blindfold, and she blew them all a kiss.
Wow. Okay.
Fascinating woman. They've made a couple movies about her.
Okay. All right. 0 for 1. Let's hear number 2.
During Prohibition, doctors could prescribe medicinal alcohol for ailments like depression, the flu, or asthma. What could they prescribe? Was it A, whiskey, B, champagne, C, red wine, or D, Jägermeister?
During Prohibition. I want to go with A, whiskey.
You are correct.
I would want C,
Yeah.
red wine, but I'll take whiskey.
You could actually get you can get a cannabis script now.
Yeah, you could get a
You
whiskey.
could get a whiskey script, and if you're lucky, you could get a pint about every 10 days. This was, of course, a big scam between doctors making money on this, because you had to go, I'm depressed, here's some whiskey.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Something's never changed, right?
yeah, kind of the same thing.
Okay, I got one. Yay. All right, number 3.
Jeffrey Hudson, his lifespan went from 1619 to 1682, was a court dwarf and pet of Queen Henrietta Maria of England. How did he get banished from her court? Was it A, he consumed a bottle of the Queen's private wine stock? B, he challenged the brother of William Crofts to a duel? D, he refused to wear the required 17th century tights? D, he snuck a pet ferret into the royal bedchamber?
I don't wear tights. I wear the required uniform. Tights. Shut up. I'm going with that. See tights.
He actually challenged the brother of William Crofts to a duel.
You bully, you brute, you vicious brute.
And the weird part about him, he was very he was fascinated because he didn't look like a normal short person would look, kind of with the he looked like a child.
Okay.
And they think he might have had a pituitary gland thing, but he didn't like look like an adult or like a misshapen person. He looked like a little kid. So when he challenged this guy to a duel, the guy came to the duel with the 16th century equivalent of a squirt gun.
Okay.
And this guy pulled a gun and shot him in the forehead. Dead, but dueling was illegal. So originally he was sentenced to death, but the queen was so fond of him, she just threw him out.
We want to batter down a 30-foot ladder. Sorry. Well. Okay. Sorry, a little Chris Farley humor there. All right, number 4.
In 16th century Europe, anyone suffering from arthritis, bone pain, toothache, or gout could pick up a bottle of Angusta
There's
Humanus.
a lot of medicinal things going on
I don't
here.
know why. At their local pharmacy. What was it made from? A. Willow bark and tea. B. Rendered human fat. C. A poultice of ground slugs. Or D. A compounded medicine of cow's blood.
I got to say B, rendered human fat.
You are
It
correct.
fits the whole decay thing. Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
Executioners were making tons by selling, their
Oh, God.
dead prisoners to pharmacists.
Oh,
Yeah.
so nasty.
They had quite a thing going.
All right. Well, hopefully we learned something that we're going to forget in 5 minutes. This has been Obnoxious Trivia.
Yeah, that poor guy had a worse string of luck after that. He got imprisoned and served 25 years of hard labor in Africa before someone finally brought him back to
Lord.
England. Yeah, he had a hell of a
Oh,
life.
Lord. Okay. All right. It's time for our Snaggletooth. And this is called
Crazy Coincidences, the Titanic that wasn't yet. Futility by Morgan Robertson came out in 1898, and it introduced a ship called the Titan, longest, fastest, unsinkable. Sound familiar? Yeah, a little too familiar. You'd think he plagiarized the Titanic story, except, plot twist, the Titanic didn't actually hit the iceberg until 1912.
That's weird.
Cue the dramatic music, and hang onto your hats because it gets weirder. The ships were almost exactly the same size, just 25 meters or 82 feet apart. Both sank in April. Both carried under only the bare minimum number of lifeboats, which went about as well as you'd expect. Robertson swore he wasn't clairvoyant and honestly missed the golden opportunity to start a full-blown maritime prophecy cult.
We had to wait for L. Ron Hubbard to do that later. Next up, Violet Jessup, ocean liner stewardess, professional survivor, and possibly the unluckiest or luckiest woman on the high seas. She lived through not 1, not 2, but 3 major maritime disasters. First, the RMS Olympic in 1911, when it collided with a warship. Then the Titanic in 1912, yeah, that iceberg party. And finally, the Britannic in 1916, which hit a mine and sank. After that, she somehow kept her job on ships. Instead of quitting to knit socks or do something on land, she earned the nickname Miss Unsinkable, or as I prefer, Miss Do Not Get on My Boat Ever. And just to clear things up, she's not to be confused with the unsinkable Molly Brown, the American socialite who also survived the Titanic, but managed to stop there like a normal person. Of course, she was only semi-sinkable compared to Violet.
In one of the most famous cases of separated twins, Jim Lewis and Jim Springer were reunited at the age of 39 after being separated at birth, and holy genetic deja vu, Batman. The similarities were freaky. Both were named James by their adoptive families. Okay, so maybe there was a suggestion, or they both came with a J locket, or something like that. But both married women named Linda. Okay, I have no explanation. They got divorced and then remarried women named Betty. My mouth is just agape. Both had sons named James Allen with 2 L's and James Allen with 1 L. The weirdness just kept piling up. They both had dogs named Toy. Both worked as sheriffs and even vacationed at the same Florida beach town. I think I just passed out there for a second. At that point, you just have to say it. Free will my ass.
James Dean's Porsche 550 Spider, nicknamed Little Bastard, which, yeah, turned out to be accurate. It became one of the creepiest cursed objects in car history. After Dean's fatal crash in 1955, the wrecked car didn't just sit quietly in a garage somewhere. Oh no, it decided to go on tour.
While being transported, it caused several accidents, including another fatality. Talk about a gremlin in the machine. Even in pieces, the thing was still an arch villain. Parts from the car were sold and installed in other vehicles, which also ended up in deadly crashes. Basically, the Porsche was out here franchising death. Stephen King must have looked at that story and said, hey, that'll do for a super scary novel idea, except I'll name it after my ex, Christine. Eventually, the car mysteriously disappeared while being shipped, because of course it did. So before I take my car in for service, I just need one thing, a dated receipt, and proof those parts didn't come from Little Bastard.
The construction of the Hoover Dam took place between 1931 and 1936 and claimed 96 lives, or closer to 138 if you count illnesses and general unfortunateness, which, let's be honest, we should probably do that. The first worker to die during the project was J.G. Tierney, who drowned on December 20th, 1922. In a bone-chilling twist of fate, the last worker to die during construction was his son, Patrick Tierney, who also died on December 20th, exactly 13 years later. If that's not the universe screaming, learn from your parents' mistakes, I don't know what is. Also, woe to the Ides of December.
The long list of coincidences between President Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy is one of those things that just makes you go, okay, what in the simulation glitch is happening here? Lincoln was elected in 1860, Kennedy in 1960, 100 years apart. Now, yeah, presidents are elected every 4 years, but still, damn. Both were assassinated on a Friday in the presence of their wives, and both were shot in the head, which, to be fair, is where most assassins aim. Creeped out yet? Yeah, me too. Both were succeeded by vice presidents named Johnson, both Southern Democrats. Andrew Johnson, Lincoln's VP, was born in 1808. Lyndon B. Johnson, Kennedy's, was born in 1908. It's a Johnson conspiracy, despite Johnson being basically the most common name after Smith.
Lincoln's assassin, John Wilkes Booth, was born in 1839. Kennedy's assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, was born in 1939. And here's the real mic drop. Lincoln was shot in a theater, and the gunman ran to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse, and the gunman ran to a theater. Boom. Deal with that. Forget your grassy knoll theories. There are forces at work here. Or maybe some janky time machine bouncing around the space-time continuum going, oops, my bad, wrong century. Okay, I can't take any more. This is Orm with Rigdom. Okay, let's talk about Coffee AM, and she has the very thing here. Yes, several blends.
Coffee AM is this great online company where they will start roasting your coffee as soon as you press send on your order. They come in these great vacuum packed bags that are foil lined to keep your coffee fresh until you're ready to pop that thing and open it.
We're a little nutty about our freshness when it comes to coffee. Yeah.
This is a bourbon whiskey coffee for those of you who wish to start your morning with a drink, but not actually drink.
Me.
They also have many seasonal blends. This was just one of them. They also had a Frankenstein coffee, but this is a witch's brew coffee. Tastes like freshly brewed witches.
Okay.
Not really.
I wouldn't know what that tastes like, but okay.
This is the half-pound size. This is the full pound size. You always have options at Coffee AM. If you can even get a decaf if you're weirdos. This is another half pound I decided to try. It's an Aztec Gold Espresso. Can't wait to get into this one. So it is a points related program. So after you buy so much, you get to take money off your order.
Aztec Gold. It's like, what will that taste like? Like,
Fresh Aztecs.
I guess.
Ancient Aztecs? I don't
I
know.
wouldn't know. I can't wait to try.
I haven't had a coffee from them that wasn't completely delicious. So much better than grocery store. Don't buy Maxwell House. Treat yourself.
That's right.
Use our link. It will save you off your first order.
Very good. It's time for Bombastic Plastic.
Bombastic.
Bombastic!
Okay, this week on Bombastic Plastic, we're going to talk about Neurosis's 2007 album, Given to the Rising. And
This is going to sound...
Sorry, hold on. Just get him set up there. Okay, got it.
This is going to sound like a stretch at first, but hear me out. Neurosis are the Bowie of modern metal. They have had a career that spanned 4 decades, constantly evolving their sound from hardcore punk to suffocating sludge to dramatic post-metal and beyond. Singer and guitarist Steve Von Till has collaborated with everyone from Jabot to Converge to Wolves in the Throne Room. Their ambient side project, Tribes of Neurot, released ambitious sonic projects like Karn, 4-hour-long discs of sounds recorded in prehistoric burial chambers throughout Ireland, designed to be played simultaneously. And in 2002, they released Adaptation and Survival, The Insect Project, an album entirely composed of processed insect noises. Wham, bam, thank you, bees.
See what you did there. I've been a fan of the band for decades, and I had a hard time deciding which record to feature. Everybody and their mother has done a review for Through Silver and Blood, so I decided to zero in an album that nobody ever talks about, 2007's Given to the Rising. Given to the Rising is Neurosis' 9th album overall, their 4th disc recorded in Chicago by Steve Albini's engineers, and the 2nd to be released on their brand new imprint back then, Neuro Recordings. While the album's predecessor, 2004's The Eye of Every Storm, leaned hard on minimalist, loud, quiet passages, post-rock flavored synthesizers, this one I always considered a return to the sound of the earlier records. Von Till's vocals are stark contrast to those claustrophobic as fuck early records that utilized a hardcore shout reminiscent of Flipper. At this point, it's a raspy and full of venom in a sort of similar style to Matt Pike from High on Fire.
It's a long record released smack dab in the middle of the ruling years of the compact disc, with a runtime of over 71 minutes. But in typical Neurosis fashion, each of these lengthy nuggets reveal that the band's talent for building crescendos has never been sharper. Gone are the oboes, the trumpets, the didgeridoos of previous records. These tracks built mainly for guitar and drums, with plenty of room for Noah Landis's trademark keys and sound manipulations to make appearances. Let's play a clip. This is Given to the Rising.
Through this sweet clouds of trees and the world I've never seen.
A song like Fear and Sickness offers echoes of the previous album with slow blinking guitar and synth chirping that eventually gives way to a crawling tempo. The squall-heavy riff groans of Kelly and Von Till ache along with tribal poundings of Jason Roeder. About halfway through the track, the band moves to an even slower tempo, much more in the vein of early Black Sabbath. Von Till croaking, "The sea is foul like worms in your heart." And the other such pleasantries as the performance ebbs and flows, full of percussive brimstone one minute and the verge of total collapse at others. At the End of the Road sounds like an outtake from the last record, cycling through 4.5 minutes of post-rock humming and random guitar squalls before slamming into gear with another Sabs on lots of Robitussin riff. augmented by wiggly enhancements and static from Noah Landis.
Water is Not Enough is another slow pounder built on a chuggy riff reminiscent of early Melvins. At the halfway point, we get another launch into the stratosphere change as the drums cease and the guitars whine like a jet engine for a couple of minutes until Rotor finally finishes his diet soda and rejoins the proceedings. Closer, Origin, is the album's true endurance test with ambient keys and slow tapping drums, heating things up for nearly 3 full minutes before the first vocal. Guitars are very subdued in this one, clean and pinging and echoing instead of crunching or wailing. The song finally slams into gear around the 9-minute mark with another trudge up Golgotha riff and the drum pattern that sets up a couple of angular solos to close things out.
Neurosis were very good at being Neurosis at this point. The songs are doomy, unhurried, and packed with Von Till's Gospel of Blood, Ashes, and Flames. And that majestic artwork? They're taken or adapted from monuments at Heroes Square in Budapest. And these children that you spit on, with their hour-long CDs and antlers, are quite immune to your consultations. They're quite aware we're all going to hell. This is Water is Not Enough.
Rose before the time. Dirt relies on our test, tied to the resolving design. Distance varies though the waves bring us.
Okay, what interesting interview?
This was our interview with Adam from Orm. I learned quite a bit about this band. He had some interesting takes on what I suppose to be true. So I'm always glad when I'm a little wrong, and I'm always glad when I'm a little right. And a little of both happened here.
I just like the spirit of always challenging yourself, always, never sitting back on your laurels. That really comes through in this interview. Yeah.
And I think that's something we could all aspire to, as well as that gorgeous album cover.
Absolutely, yeah. So take it away.
So, love this album and your guys' band. It looks like Orm emerged from the ashes of By the Patient. It looked like a lot of you had been in that. I guess it was more of a death thrash metal project. When you made the leap to Orm, what strengths did you carry forward from that experience, and what lessons that you kind of learned helped shape the new band?
We played in this other band By the Patient for a number of years. Some of us, three of us, and when we formed Orn, it was basically the full band except the lead singer. So I guess we took kind of all that experience that we had playing together and being together on the road and the studio, but we wanted to kind of channel it somewhere else. After our lead singer, he kind of left, we wanted, instead of getting a new one, we kind of wanted to start fresh and try something else, basically. Yeah.
So within Orm, is there a set band leader, troublemaker, someone who provides comic relief, peacemaker? What's kind of the group dynamic?
There are a lot of group dynamics in Orm. Yeah, so we've the three of us have known each other for since 2008, and the two other guys, they've known each other since, I don't know, 2000 or even earlier, I think. It's basically like a family where we have a lot of different dynamics, and mostly Simon, he's kind of the joker. He's really a very funny guy. And I'm maybe more the kind of adult person in the room. Yeah.
You get to be the dad.
Yeah, I do. It's great.
So I love the fact in Danish, worm seems to translate to worm, serpent, dragon, something slithery. And it also is a historic name that shows up in Viking tales, like Road Orm, the red serpent. Which one of those meetings resonates most with the band's identity, and which one of you is most Viking?
Okay, so I'll just start with the second one, I guess. So the most Viking, I think, is Tice. So he's a rhythm guitarist, and he looks super cool. He's a huge beard, and he's a big
Yeah.
guy. And it's easy to imagine him being a Viking for sure. And for the other thing, I think all of those things. So we picked that name because it's short, which was nice. So in By the Patient, I guess this harkens goes back to the other question. We kind of hated that name and was a bit long. So we picked something very short, 3 letters. So I think that also makes it visually kind of easier to work with in terms of logos. And just has many great connotations and meanings. It's an old Viking name. He could be called Orm, like Rødorm, you mentioned, and also means as you said, snake or serpent, but also worm, like something kind of gross in the earth.
Yeah.
And also has this meaning of Midgårdsorm, which is also this from Norse mythology, the world serpent that encircles Midgard. So lots of cool stuff there, basically.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, I hate if I'm gardening and I come across a worm, it always startles me, but I can't hurt them. And then it appalled me. My ex-boyfriend tried to take me fishing and wanted me to put a hook through one of them. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah. we
Gross,
wouldn't be
but
good
also
fishers.
cute.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cool, I wanted to talk to you about the album artwork. It's really awesome. The gold, it almost looks like metal fencing, but with the faces.
But like it's grown like a vine.
Yeah. So how did you come to choose that artwork, and like what does it kind of represent in terms of the music?
So the artist who made it is called Asger W. Krogh, and he's actually our merch guy. It's been the last couple of years. So when we talked with him about that we were making a new album, he offered to do the artwork because he does this collage thing on the side, basically. So we actually gave him more or less free rein for a year or something. So he just, picked out these things. So he cut it out from different museum magazines or papers and stuff. From most of the stuff on the front is from like wood carvings on old Norse churches, wooden churches. So he picked all that out. And meanwhile, we kind of started thinking about the themes and the lyrics for the album, and I think it fit well together. So we didn't have the full title for the album or anything, but when he showed us that, we kind of thought maybe it could be Guld, which means gold.
Yeah.
It fits very well with the stuff that he picked.
Yeah, it works well. I like how it looks like it's a burning ember almost behind the fence. It's a wild look.
Yeah. And I think it's super cool that he made it all in by hand, basically. So he brought the originals. We had a listening session this Friday, and he brought out all the originals for us and everyone else to see. And it's super cool to see the layers physically there.
Yeah.
So you keep the vocals in Danish, but I do feel there's something about your language with the kind of more harsh consonants, rhythm. It has more melodic qualities. Do you believe that adds a dimension that English couldn't possibly capture?
Maybe. So I don't know really about the kind of acoustics of the language. Maybe there's something, but for us at least, it made it easier to write the lyrics because it's just in our native tongue, basically. It feels more real and less kind of forced. So when we did our first album, we wrote it in English. But then the second one, it had a more kind of a personal story to it. So we chose to write it in Danish. And that, I think, worked well. So we kind of just kept doing that. So it also, I think it makes it easier also to not do like tropes because there's so much metal lyrics out there, and I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff that's been written, but it's kind of already been written. And I mean, so doing another round of I don't know, epic something. I mean, that's I just feel it kind of gets rehashed. So it's easier in Danish because there's just less competition, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Not all the cool stuff has been said.
Yeah, I find a lot of extreme metal bands are going to like way back to like ancient alchemy to get different themes or stories I never heard of, you know, that are from the far past that I'm like, wow, that brings a whole new dimension. So I guess it's like if you can't, you know, think of anything new and current, you gotta reach back a little bit or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's you got to be inventive to pick something that hasn't
Yeah.
already been
Yeah, we're
come
we're
from.
always stunned by the amount of movies they will remake like from 20 years ago. They recently just did or advertising a remake for Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I'm like, you can't top the first one of that. Why are you doing it again?
Totally different realm. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So
But also, like, if you do death metal or something like that, I mean, there can't be any more serial killers that hasn't gotten a song out there. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of all been done. Yeah.
yeah,
So we did notice no 20-minute song on this album. So it seems like they're a little pared down between eight. They're still long, but was that a conscious decision or did it just kind of the way that the songs turned out?
yeah. No, it was a conscious decision. So after the two previous albums we did these very long songs, um, just want to do something else. We never really want to do the same thing again and again and again.
Yeah.
So where we kind of had the two previous albums, we kind of had this. I mean, we put some restrictions that we had to do these long songs. We couldn't just slice them up. So this time we just wanted to lift that restriction and put another restriction, which was we can't do long songs because that kind of had become the easy path in a way to do that. So try to keep things short. That was very difficult for us.
Yeah. So it's easier to write up something that's like 20 minutes long for you guys?
Yeah, at that point, I think it definitely was. I mean, that would have been the easy choice. We could have done the same thing again if we wanted to.
Oh, because you had done
Probably,
it before.
maybe,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. And we kind of, the things that were hard about writing long songs, I think we kind of got under the skin of that. Like, I think we figured it out. I feel we figured it out and we had kind of been there, done that in a way. So we went on and now we tried to challenge ourselves by writing something shorter.
Yeah.
It's hard, you know, it's hard for a band that has like 20-minute songs. If you're given like a festival slot that's 40 minutes, what do you do then?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is actually really hard.
Because you don't want to
practical
you don't want to
decision.
cut the song, right? But at the same time,
Yeah.
you know, if you're really proud of a 20-minute song, there's half your set, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so we many times we played just two songs, right? And that's it.
I did really like your previous with the double album, the Enter and Outlet, that kind of was all about like different stages of life, which is great for inspiration. But for this album, what were the music behind the lyrics and thematic directions on this one?
Sorry, what was the music behind the lyrics?
Just for your big double album, that was mostly about the stages of life. So for Guild, what were the main muses behind the lyrics and overall direction?
Yes. So what we went with this time is try to find. So Internet was quite a philosophical kind of thing. So it had all these existential and kind of semi-religious themes about life and all that stuff and death, at least. So this time wanted to write something a bit more personal, so I racked my brain a bit, and I had a lot of, I think, feelings about so just like everyday life, basically being a modern a human in the modern world. So it's kind of about some of those negative things that I and the other guys we feel about existing in civilization today. So a lot about there's some stuff about social media, of course, which is shit, and also just about dynamics like going down, having these kind of with the way that we behave against each other and in our families, and these negative emotions that you sometimes send you spiraling down a behavioral path that you know is negative, but that you also feel that sometimes an exterior actor is kind of forcing upon you. So each song kind of has a main negative kind of feeling behavioral aspect that it deals with.
Interesting.
And then on top of that, it has this kind of frame of being told from some old like fairy tales and folklore stories, both old and new actually.
Yeah. Are there some of those that maybe because I know you use a lot of folklore in your lyrics that are from the region. Are there any stories that you incorporated that maybe other people wouldn't have heard of that are, that
Yeah,
like
so
yeah, Danish,
yeah, this time around, so we used to have some a lot of kind of local references on ear especially. And on Interdigital, we also picked out some, or got inspiration from like biblical psalms that we have in Denmark. We have a rich tradition of writing, yeah, songs for the local church kind of thing. So even though we're definitely not religious or anything, some of that stuff is really beautiful, basically. So we picked inspiration from that. For this time around, I fell over some folklore from Transylvania, actually. That was super
wow.
cool.
Wow.
And I am way back from that region, basically, but it's a long way back. So I felt like connected with it in a way. And these stories are super cool and super dark because it's not like it's for children, but not really. Like people are dying and getting decapitated and all that stuff. And then I also read some other like actually modern fairy tales that I thought were cool. So and many of these stories they fit with the theme because they're always very moralizing, like showing what happens if you give in to your jealousy or you're lost or something like that. So, or like if forgetting the ones you love because you lost someone else or something, right? So I think it fitted well with the themes.
Yeah, we did a whole bit on the show at one point looking about how dark fairy tales actually are, like in the original form. Like Snow White, like originally to punish the queen, they put her in these shoes. She had to dance around the reception as she burned. I'm like, oh yeah, that's for children right there.
Yeah,
That's
They were
Yeah,
so
exactly.
dark.
we were trying to kill Snow White and she wanted her heart. I'm like, that just sounds like some crazy horror film.
And really it went on for a long time, like even into the early Disney movies like Pinocchio and
Bambi.
and Dumbo.
Yeah.
The underlying theme was like, if you don't do what you're told, something awful is going to happen to you.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
always it was always orphans too. Orphans, sad orphans.
They lightened up around Lion
Yeah.
King time, but
Sort of.
before that, yeah, they were pulling out some pretty dark stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
So I love the title of the album, like you were saying, Gold or Gold. Do you feel in many cases money is possibly the root of all evil? But conversely, if you came into a lot of money, what do you think is the first irresponsible thing you would buy?
okay, so let me start with the second question. The first thing I would buy if I had a lot of money, a
Like
better
you just
rehearsal
won some
space.
lottery.
What was it?
A better rehearsal space because
Oh,
we've
okay.
got a pretty
Yeah.
good one, but it's
Very
like in a
practical.
basement.
Yeah.
And it's smelly. And then a huge drum set, of course. And then
Of course, yeah.
take take my family on some kind of crazy vacation, I think.
You could get the big chimes like Hawkwind had in the 70s. You do it all up, So
Yeah. Do the full Neil Peart thing.
yeah, Neil Peart, yeah, total.
Yeah.
For your vacation, would you go somewhere warm or cold?
Warm. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
You
Warm,
probably
but
get
not
enough
too
cold.
warm.
Yeah.
Not like tropical.
I know. I'll pick something maybe Mediterranean or who knows. Yeah. And about the money thing, so I don't think money is the root of all evil. Like it's just a thing, right? But money is worthless. It's just humans. And Ghoul is not really about money being bad. It's more about, trying to achieve something or obtain something that has value, but really doesn't. And being covetous about it, basically.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I will agree that money is not the be all end all, but it sure is nice when you don't have to worry about it every day.
Oh yeah.
When you have just a little and you can kind of relax, it's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's best when you don't have to think about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We did this crazy bit. We were watching some true crime story about this neighbors who were arguing, and the one neighbor was so angry, he decided his only solution was to get a hitman.
Yeah.
To try to kill his neighbor, but unfortunately, he went to his real estate agent to try to find a hitman. And of course, the real estate agent turned him immediately into the police. I felt like saying, okay, that was a good move there. Real estate agent, hitman, sure. They're
It
right
happens
there.
a lot. So then we started looking that up, and there's actually a lot of really dumb stories about people who tried to find hitmen like on the web and stuff.
Wasn't it also Tim Lambesis from As I Die? I think he did the same, right?
Yeah.
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 Don't do that. It's a bad idea.
You can't get a hitman the same way you'd buy a blender. You just can't do it,
It's probably a good
It
thing.
doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll get caught. So we were really a big fan of the guitar sounds on this album. Who kind of was the architect that kind of decided to get that hard panning because it sounds awesome in headphones, and kind of that really scratchy. Do you know what kind of techniques or approaches they use to achieve that?
It's very, very distinctive.
Yeah, so I mean Simon, he does the mixing
Okay.
for albums.
I
So
figured that's what it
he's
was. Yeah.
kind yeah,
Yeah.
so he's the mastermind behind this. I'm not sure how they achieved it like sonically, but I mean there's just a lot of what you call palm muted riffs on this album. So that kind of gives these very dry yeah, muted kind of sounds where you can really kind of feel every note. And then the production is also just normally on a black metal album, you usually have like a lot of reverb and effects
Right.
on the guitar, so they kind of have this more synth kind of feeling, and it gets all kind of washed out. That's super cool. But for this time, we kind of wanted something more physical and more naked also in a way, and just more aggressive. So it's so much drier, and you can really hear every stroke. And also I think it puts a lot more pressure on the guitarists to actually play tight, because normally
Very tight. Yeah.
you can kind of do whatever if there's so much reverb. So this time, yeah, we tried to challenge ourselves, so they also were challenged by themselves.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's very, it's very much a headphones record, in my opinion, because you can really hear the channels back and forth. And then sometimes it'll be the same riff, but one will be just slightly off the other, and it makes it sound larger. It's very, very well done. Yeah. Yeah. It was just the cadence of it, isn't it? Again, and I've been into death and black metal for like my entire life, but so it's rare that I hear something that I'm like, wow, I've never heard anything like this before. This is really interesting, so
Thanks.
yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, but we really want to, also, be something that you haven't really heard before. So
Right.
that's really, I'm glad you think that.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
there's so much modern stuff, even if it sounds super cool and stuff. Oftentimes it just sounds a bit generic because it's all quantized and computerized and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I also enjoy that sometimes, but it gets a bit generic. So
Yeah. There's so many bands. It's true. Yeah. So yeah.
For I guess forgive me if I missay this, but Undefangen, which translates to conceived, if Google hasn't betrayed me.
yeah, unfangen. Yeah.
Um, it feels like the lyrics are telling you to stay alert, to pay attention to what's kind of going on around us. Was that inspired by any current or historical events? And the significance of that repeated line about painting the tombstone red, it feels very loaded with meaning.
Yeah. That song is about kind of being stuck in the past in some kind of sorrowful state, basically, kind of losing track of the real life, and instead just kind of wallowing in sorrow, and thereby losing the good things you have in your life. So there's a lot of stuff about sadness, and also about resentment. And I wrote a lot of this stuff, and it was inspired by one of these folklore stories, which kind of has a lot of things going on, but also a mother who loses all her children and her favorite son, and she resents them for dying on her so much that she kind of curses their graves.
Wow.
And that goes badly.
That sounds like a fairy tale. Yeah.
Some crazy stuff. I know it was Martin from Strictness was telling us some about it was like a mother and her son and the daughter, and they died, and it was
Oh, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's some crazy tales I've never heard.
Do you guys know you probably know Martin from Strict Nose? He's also in Undergang. He's been on our show before.
I personally I don't know him. I know Andreas from Strictness, but I know some of the other guys know him.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great guy. They happened to come through Baltimore, so we made sure they were at their show. And as soon as they were done and they were packing up, we said, Martin, he hopped off the stage and took pictures with
Really
us.
cool, yeah.
Really great guy.
Really cool.
Yeah, they're super cool guys.
And he had an incredible first edition Samael Ceremony of Opposites shirt on that I was drooling over. I could just tell it was OG, I was like, I love that record. Oh God. So I wanted to ask you about your drumming. So
Wow, by the
a
way.
lot of the fluid way that you move from blasts to the tom rolls, it does a lot of the building and releasing of tension in the songs.
Thanks.
And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you decide on when you blast, and how does the band, is it mainly just you're coming up with things, or is there a lot of back and forth when you guys are jamming, or how do you come up with the I guess the flow of the percussion?
I think it's mainly me coming up, at least with all the details. So we kind of we jam a lot. So I mean, there's a lot of back and forthing about is this going to be a bit where we blast, or is it going to be double pedal, or is it going to be straight form, or whatever. Like so we talk about that, but all the details that kind of make up oftentimes on the spot, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I kind of course, listen to a lot of other drummers, and I steal from them, and I also try to do some things that's interesting, and not just the same old kind of metal drum fill, right? So I try to kind of achieve that. And also, I think we also think a lot about varying. So even if the riff plays, the guitars play the same things like 4 or 8 times in a row, then the drums should change, underneath. So it's not just the same thing for 8 times in a row.
Right.
So I try
Are
to
there-
think about that
When
and kind
you're
of build up the dynamics of the song throughout.
Yeah. When you're stealing, like you said,
Yeah.
what are some specific examples of are there certain songs or styles that you've just been like it was very difficult for you to kind of crack the code or
Hmm. I don't know. So, I mean, I do a lot of, I think, inspiration from outside of metal. So I listen also to a lot of like just progressive rock, like Kevin
Mhm.
Harrison, who plays for Porcupine Tree and some other things. He has like a very great sense of like musicality in his drumming, and he also plays a lot of these polyrhythmic and odd time signature beats that feels natural and not kind of forced and showy. So I'm very inspired by that. I think to add some kind of more flavor to the music, to so kind of shifting the way the rhythm feels and the beat feels underneath the same riff, and like shifting up the time signatures like in odd places and all that stuff. I think that's very cool. So I try to
Very
do
cool,
that a
yeah.
bit when there's space for it. So we
Do
have a
you
lot of on this new record. There's a lot of kind of variation in the drumming underneath the riffs. It kind of swaps a lot back and forth. Like sometimes many times in the same riff goes to all kinds of different time signatures. It's a bit crazy sometimes.
do you have a particular drum setup that works best for you? Like, do you have a certain number of toms, certain number of cymbals that works for your setup best?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think most drummers kind of at least in this genre, we pick a style of drum kits in a way, and I need the drums to be set up basically like that to play the full thing. Um, so I have the same setup for many years, basically, which is a quite classic metal setup with like two bass drums, except I only have one, but I printed it and I have two, and snare in the middle, and two rack toms and a floor tom, and a bunch of cymbals. But when you're on
Oh,
tour, I mean, I meet a lot of other drummers who have in the metal genre who have the exact kind of same setup,
okay.
and that's super convenient.
Yeah. I always think it's like if you were trying to type, but the keys weren't where they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like same thing with the drums. Like if they're not, it's
Yeah,
almost like you have to have them in a certain order because that's what you're used to playing.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy to play, and of course you can do it, but it's a lot harder to play on a completely different setup kit that you're
Yeah.
used to.
I love the softer moments too. At the beginning of its, let's see, Martret, I'm probably killing that. Um, but it's like almost like harpsichord like tones there. In the which is a brilliant contrast because when the heavy riffs start falling next, it's great. How did you create that harpsichordy texture? Was it just a particular synthesizer?
No, I think so. This was actually Tice. He spent a lot of effort on this intro here, and I think he mostly does it on his guitar. He has this ebow,
Wow.
which kind of sends these huge, like very frequent vibrations out, and so you kind of bow your guitar like a violin, using this. So I think he used that mostly, and then he reversed it or something like that.
Yeah, it's a really neat tone. I knew it had to be something because it was like, my God, is that a harpsichord? It can't be.
Yeah.
Um, let's see.
Let's say Outscammit.
Utskamet. Utskamet. It translates roughly into disgraced. And it has that hyper tremolo picking. Has your guitar player ever actually hurt themselves? It sounds so fast.
No, I don't. I don't think they have. No. Maybe. Yeah, but it sounds super nice, right? It's like we actually had another version of that, which was like a lot faster, but we chose to not play it because it was kind of crazy. So this is the slow version, but it's yeah, but it sounds really cool. But they're really, really good. They have they just played so much Metallica when they were young, so
Yeah.
they got really good.
When we're working with Danish bands and it's in Danish, usually Stace lets me take the guess on how to pronounce it. And there's
He took a
three
lot of
reasons.
German in
There's
college.
three reasons. First, because I was a German major and there's a lot of similarity to the structure. Second is because I worked for a Norwegian company for 5 years. I'm sorry, not Norwegian, Danish company for 5 years. So I had it all around me. But most of all, it's because I've listened to live Dizzy Miss Lizzy albums so many times that I think that
Okay.
that's the main one. Because he always talks in between in Danish and it's just become ingrained, So
Yeah. Nice.
so between those three reasons, I'm able to usually get it 90% right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how would you pronounce it? So now I'm interested.
What the song just now? I would say Udskammet.
Yeah, not too bad. Udskammet.
What's the right way? What's the right way?
Udskammet.
Okay.
See, I'm
Udskammet.
almost useless. I took French in school, which is almost useless for nothing.
Yeah. But the thing is, when you take a language and you don't do it every day and you let it die, I always feel guilty that I never kept up with it. But, you have to do that. You have to speak it all the time. So.
I should have taken Spanish. It would have been so much more useful.
Me too. Yeah.
But
So.
you don't think about it. And my daughter has traveled a lot and they go to a lot of Spanish speaking countries and she can like converse. I'm like, I can't do any of that. And right now, a lot of the workers who are coming here in this bathroom, I'm talking to them and they're looking at me like I have three heads. And I know it's probably because they speak mostly Spanish and I speak zero. So I have a garden out back and I was trying to get rid of some hot peppers because it's getting late in the season and we have a lot. So I was trying, he really looked confused until I held up the bag of peppers and went, yours. And then he was like, oh, Pepito.
Yeah. Yeah. Spanish is all around in America. So it would have been a lot easier.
Like I'm not trying to think I'm trying to pay them in peppers. I'm not. Just
But
the
you're
added
not too
thing.
far from, you could go to French Canada, right?
We're in Baltimore. So we're about halfway down the East Coast. We're south of New York and Philly.
Yeah.
So we're kind of in the middle of the East.
Quebec is north of you. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of think it's a bad idea to let someone in the 9th grade choose what language they're going to go with, because the only reason why I chose German was because I was listening to nothing but Creator and Sodom and, old Scorpions and stuff like
that's a good
that.
reason.
And that was my reason. So I didn't do it for practical reasons. I just thought that was a cool place, because of all the music. So. And then I was stuck with it, so.
Was Google Translate correct when it told me that last one was disgraced? Is that the correct translation?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So since we're talking about disgrace, do you ever remember anything from childhood that made you feel really mortified back then that is just kind of silly or hilarious now?
Well, right. I have to think back now.
I was always so embarrassed today. I fell off the teeter-totter. I forgot to hold on and the girl bonked me and I fell off. I felt so disgraced.
You never forget stuff like
now
that.
I had like mulch in my mouth.
Yeah, you never forget stuff like that.
I don't know. I mean, I broke a few windows and yeah, I once got, I mean, I guess I was kind of a big child, but I got very drunk and fell on my face many times and had to be picked up by my father in a cab with half of my face like all bloodied because of my own drunkenness. That was pretty embarrassing. Also go back to school after that weekend.
Yeah.
Had my face a big wound.
That's when you need to
yeah,
make
that
up
was
the
bad.
story about what the other guy looks like. He's a lot worse than me when it was really the pavement. But we don't
Yeah, no, everyone had seen it, so I think it was kind of.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
think we all have a night or two like that.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
So are you planning to do any visualizers or videos for the new songs? And if you were to shoot outdoors, are there any cool locations by you that would make a perfect backdrop for that, gold and decay aesthetic?
So we're not planning to do any music videos or anything, but we have a lyric video for Unfangen on YouTube, which is actually super cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Turn
So,
that
but I don't think we'll be filming anything. I don't know. I didn't even think about a cool location for that. We
Yeah,
could
most
go
towns have a
and
good.
I mean, it would be cool, but also possible. But we have a building called Børsen, which means the exchange in Copenhagen, which is like this 400 years old building that used to have an exchange and also a bunch of other shit. And it burned down 2 years ago, 1 year ago, maybe, which was like a giant catastrophe. So it would be super
that would be
cool to
cool.
go to the burned wreckage of the exchange and film. I mean, that would be fitting for the theme, I think.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, a couple years ago at Maryland Death Fest, we go every year because it's in Baltimore. They had a building that was being torn down right in the background, and it fit. It was right in the middle of all the booths and stuff. It was perfect.
It looked like it had been half bombed out, but in truth, they were just ripping it
fit
down.
so well for MDF. It was so great. And then the next year we came and it was all cleaned up. It was apartments. So it was a short-term thing.
Yeah, I didn't know if the countryside there led to like a dramatic. I could see you guys like in a cemetery with a mountain in the background.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have cemeteries, but they're all not that scary, really. And we don't have mountains in Denmark. It's like completely flat.
Let me know when you want me to do this.
So yeah, why don't you do that?
Okay. All right. Well, we play a game on the show. So this is very intellectually stimulating. It's called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay. And the way it works is I have 5 band names in front of me. One of them is not real. This is straight from the Metal Archives. So I want you to try to guess which one of these is not a real band. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Draconian Remains, Reason Remains, Dog Tag Remains, Famine Remains, and Kitten Remains.
Oh, Draconian remains. Reason remains.
Yeah, I'll run them again.
Dog.
Draconian, Reason,
Yeah.
Dog Tag, Famine, and Kitten Remains.
I mean, somehow dog tag seems the weirdest, but maybe it's a trick. I'll go with dog tag. That was my initial thought.
Okay. They're real. They're death metal from Greece. They're 4 pieces. They have 1 full length and 1 single. So that leaves Draconian, Reason, Famine, and Kitten. Which one do you think?
Then I'll go the other way and say famine is not real.
Very good. Yes, correct. That's the made up one. Yeah. Yep. Draconian is heavy metal from Germany. Reason Remains is from Costa Rica. And Kitten Remains are death metal from Budapest. So
Nice.
very good. Very good. You know your remains very well.
What
You
remains
did
of it?
good. We have people who never get it at all.
Yeah. Very good.
So I love that you have your album release show set for Halloween. The most metal night of the year, honestly, in my opinion. So are you gonna play the full album from front to back? And is there any chance we'll see costumes on stage?
That's a good question.
Yeah. No costumes. No. That's not gonna fly. We will play on Friday. So we play these 3 shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Friday we'll play the full new album from start to finish, and also some other stuff. And yeah, Thursday is gonna be mostly kind of older songs. And then Saturday is kind of because we are releasing the album, but also celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So
Wow.
Saturday is gonna be the big deal with play a very long show, and we'll have a bunch of like musicians with us on stage, strings and trumpets and
Oh
the
wow,
whole
cool.
shebang.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did this for a few years ago. We played the Danish Radio Orchestra Symphony Hall, and for that we hired a bunch of symphonic instruments, and we kind of added symphonic elements to our songs. So we are bringing along some of those guys again.
Super cool. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, trying to drum while dressed as Dracula with the cape and everything. I could see why it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't be good. So when you have new material, and you guys probably do a lot of rehearsal with new material, how long does it usually take playing live before the new material starts to feel like nobody's messing it up, or it feels a good flow?
Well, hopefully it's 0 times, right? Because we are kind of throwing ourselves out on the deep end this time.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it goes pretty fast. If you're on tour and you're playing the same songs night after night, I think it goes pretty quick that you kind of get into the routine of it, which is super nice. So it's really fun to be on stage when everyone is locked in. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's also kind of fun when you're not locked in because you are a bit more attentive. I think. And it's very intense. So that's going to be the way for these 3 shows. We'll be very attentive.
So,
I think.
did you kind of handpick your supporting acts? And it sounds like you have played with them before. In the translation, it had you calling them cheeky. So I don't know if that translated correct. Which one of these
Okay, no.
bands do you think is most likely to spark the wildest mosh pit?
Ooh, I guess maybe Slugger. So I think if you had something called Cheeky, it's probably because one of the bands is called Slugger, which kind of translate into a villain, but could also be like a bit more like cheeky kind of villain, I guess.
Okay. That's not too
So
far
they're
off.
pretty, yeah, they're pretty wild, and they're actually kind of dressed up like a bit like Dracula, I think. So.
Oh wow.
But they play
Interesting.
Thursday, so that's the night before Halloween, I think. But yeah, it's kind of speed metal thing. So, and this is the smallest show, so it's gonna be most like intense, I think. So I think they will be the most mosh pit, because Friday we have Hex Process, which is more like doomy, and Lysbear, which is more like post black kind of thing. And then Saturday, Luena's, there are 2 strings basically, so it's more like atmospheric. And Jotun is this very epic progressive rock metal kind of thing. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of mushing.
We went saw Dead Congregation at a small club last week or a couple weeks ago, and we were kind of up front, much further up front than we normally are.
And I was intent on getting a little live stream,
Yeah, and I just had this surreal feeling. I just thought I'm usually never this far up during a death metal show, and then all of a sudden it was an elbow to the face, and she got knocked down, and I was like, all right, let's back up a little here, I'm just totally, I
Yeah.
was so fascinated watching them play the intro that it didn't occur to me that I should get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only 5'2", so I try not to get too close to the crazy guys, but I was so intent on getting this good shot, I totally forgot that it might.
So it was a rude awakening, but it was a great show. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I haven't been in an actual mosh pit for many years, but it's fun, and I love it when people do it, basically, and also when, I mean, it's kind of a visceral feeling in a sense, in a very non-dangerous sense, but still being there in actual danger of getting a foot in your face makes it
Right,
feel a bit more real.
I still think the craziest thing we ever saw was at Maryland Death Fest last year. They had Goodalax, and we had never experienced that before. And people were throwing toilet paper and plungers were going in the air. People had toilet seats, blow up poop emojis. We were just like, what is going on?
Yeah. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Now when we go to festivals, we have to prepare that there will be at least one Instagram band, I guess that's how you'd call it, So,
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre, but well,
yeah.
It's crazy. So I was looking and it looks like Stace and Simon had recently did a collaboration. Is the band pronounced Beast or Based?
based. Yeah.
Based. Um, so I love that collaboration too. If you yourself could invite any musician, living or dead, to be on a collaboration to an Orm track, who would you pick?
Oh, that's a good question. It could be Maynard James Keenan from Tool. I think he's a
Yeah.
very cool guy. Or there's a Danish band called Sort Soul. They're kind of more in the like dark rock genre. They're an old band. But the lead singer, he's missing an arm and he's like super cool, basically. And I kind of wanted him on the album actually, but we didn't have time.
I think you have a better chance of
maybe
getting
next
him than
time.
Maynard, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
If I had to make a bet, I would say, yeah. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Maynard's
but
a
those
little
would be
more
cool.
eccentric.
yeah, a little harder to get. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
And I don't like interviews with him because he will talk about anything but Tool. And that's what I want to hear about is Tool, obviously. And it's like he knows that. So he'll talk about his cat's favorite food or whatever, So yeah. I can't watch interviews with Maynard. I don't get
yeah, he's a
satisfaction out
special
of them, So.
he's a special guy, but I think he's also a cool guy.
Yeah.
So are you eyeing up any more shows or festival appearances on the horizon?
No, actually not. So when are you airing this? Can I ask that?
It'll probably
Let's see, because this week, next week?
it would be the week after next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Week after
Okay,
next.
and then
So.
yeah, then it's fine. We are going in, or we're taking a little break after these 3 concerts, so we don't have a lot of stuff planned to kind of just rest a bit because we're a bit. It's been a hard couple of years lately.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be
So we're
very
taking a
intense
little break.
musical,
Yeah,
yeah, 3 full days or 4 full days of playing. Yeah. So, yeah.
yeah,
So
exactly, and yeah.
is there a festival that's on your bucket list that if you were invited, you would definitely take Orm and show up at?
I think, sorry, there are a few. I mean, definitely something like Roadburn in Tilburg. That would be nice. They have a very cool kind of profile, I think, of having more progressive and like experimental bands, but still in the extreme genre. So I think that's cool, and I would love to go someday to the States. Something, don't have a particular festival, but there's a lot of cool ones over there where you are. I mean, Wacken is always a nice one, but we actually played there with our old band, so I kind of did it. Brutal Assault is a festival in Czech Republic I've been to as a as just a festival goer, and I think that's a very cool festival, and they almost always have a super cool lineup.
Yeah.
So I definitely also want to go there.
Yeah,
Even though we go to MDF every year, we still have Roadburn on our list. We really want to experience that. Yeah.
Yeah, Roadburn would be super cool.
Well, thank you so much for this album. It certainly got a lot of spins in this house, and I really think you achieved something great. We can't wait to see you maybe lure you over to Baltimore, hit you up with the next album.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
The sounds of decay!
okay, Sounds of Decay 1.
This is Chained to the Dead. Something happened on the way to hell.
What a great title. Yeah.
Some labels you can just bet on. Every band they sign feels fresh, hand-picked from the morgue slab, and you know you're getting a strong offering. Horror, pain, gore, death productions is quickly becoming that label, a go-to for the best death metal you can shake a bloody chainsaw at. In the case of Chained to the Dead, this quartet, straight out of New Jersey, had been slinging their gore-drenched horror tales since 2015. Obviously horror movie buffs, they lace every track with that dark, dank humor. The kind where you laugh and then quietly wonder, gee, why am I in this handbasket? Their new EP, Something Happened on the Way to Hell, is the Halloween Dropped, second installment in a death metal horror trilogy. Still not sure what you're in for? Just look at that cover. It's pure pulp horror mayhem. Like Lucio Fulci meets Left Hand Path. We get 4 brand new tracks and 2 covers, giving you plenty to sink your fangs into, most clocking in around that sweet 3 to 5 minute mark.
Rawhead Rex is first up on the chopping block, and that title's straight nod to Clive Barker's Rawhead Rex from Books of Blood Volume 3. The track even kicks off with a sample from the gloriously campy 1986 film adaptation story about a monstrous pagan deity rampaging through rural Ireland like a bull in a Schlitz malt liquor commercial. Stephen Brashek's doomy stop-start guitar riffs creak with old world menace, rattling dentures glued with Fixodent. They sync perfectly with Joseph Ott's slow, dragging drum pulse, setting the omniscience levels at full graveyard fog. Rocco Martone's vocals scrape past your eardrums with the corrosive intensity of battery acid on metal, spitting high-pitched yelps that plunge into snarls and back again.
Razirek drops the riffs in slow, imperiled cycles, while Ott keeps the pace at a Michael Myers-style stalk, underpinned by Jean-Paul Despin's bass, vibrating so it practically measures in viscosity. Mid-track, a brief guitar noodle sparks a tempo shifts. Riffs tumble like autumn leaves in a crisp fall wind. Drums tighten, slipping in and out of blast beat seizures that close in with menacing precision. Martone responds in kind with throaty squalls, layered sneers, and screams, the perfect auditory embodiment of chaos. As the final sample echoes, "There is no escape," the track slams shut. The cover of the Genesis hit Misunderstanding is a twist in this dirty martini. Chained to the Dead takes a perfectly mundane bit of pop, and with Martone growling the lyrics, turns it into an anthem for stalkers everywhere. No matter what ghosting happens, it's nope, me on my way to you. They grind it up into a delightfully grotesque mid-tempo dirge that still somehow keeps Phil Collins' sense of melody buried in the Raznick guitar line, bass adding groans, and they even keep some woo-ohs intact that in this version add that extra creep factor. Let's play a clip. This is Rawhead Rex.
The other cover on the record is Typo Negative's Unsuccessfully Coping with the Loss of. Transformed from its original 9-minute slow burn into a crushing 5-minute touring. The band speeds everything up into a wave of chainsaw grinding guitars, pulverizing bass, and relentless blast beats, turning the dirge into a tightly coiled metal rant. The clean vocals, echoed and snarled by Martone, add a playful edge, an approach that might make Peter Steele pause in surprise before instinctively singing along. Midway, the track drops into a doomier pace, with drum fills, snappy snare rebounds, and a guttural uhs that add weight and menace. Here, Razek's guitar hums with a potent buzz, perfectly complementing the vocal call and echo style, especially in lines like, I know you are fucking someone else, and the chilling, loving you is like loving the dead. A few hard-pan guitar distortions set up the final assault, culminating in one last blast before the track dissolves into feedback over mid-paced drum thwacks.
My favorite track is She Who Kills, opening with spine-tingling horror movie chants, women and possibly the Stepford-like children repeating, Come, Devil, come, on a loop that eerily bookends the track. Joseph Ott launches the blast beats after a few tense ripcord pulls, setting the stage for Stephen Rasnick's guitars, which hum with thrashy, oscillating hysteria, jagged and unpredictable. Jean-Paul Despon's bass churns like the bubblicious gum stretched to its limit, thick with reverb. Rocco Martone explodes like a wounded beast, squawking, groaning, and fermenting fury into every phrase. Mid-track, the drums pop off completely unhinged, with riffs churning and the burning just off-center, creating that uneasy tension that keeps the listener teetering on the edge. As the track begins to run out of gas, the rhythm section slows into a thunderstorm of raindrop speed drum hits, just long enough to make you think it's over, until an octane boost throws everything back into chaos. And Martone returns, roaring vengeance through a whirlwind of guttural squalls and primal screams.
Any fan of Impaled or Ghoul House will find a happy, haunted house lurking here. Chained to the Dead somehow manages to be both feral and funny, living up to their Bandcamp tagline of unique death metal horror. Imagine Exhumed taking a road trip with Ash Williams from Evil Dead, riding shotgun. That's the level of gleeful chaos that we're talking about. So grab your Necronomicon, lock your doors, and prepare for the third installment of Naked Women Cannibalizing Men. Because really, what else are you supposed to do on a Tuesday night? Let's hear a little of She Who Kills. Okay, Sounds of Decay 2 is a new album from Lamp of Murmur, The Dreaming Prince in Ecstasy. Hey, I get it. Thousands of bands to compete with, trying to establish yourself as something different. Well, it's more challenging than ever. I've noticed a few patterns in terms of telegraphing weirdness. Like if the band's name starts with a preposition. And no, I don't mean overkill, dummy. I'm talking about On Glided Splinters I Lay, or With Location Albeit Recompense. Are we in for a batch of Shakespearean black metal at this point? Bonus points for changing of to of with a V, Mr. Culty. Of the Vinaigrette Hysteria. Is this Deathspell Mega singing about their favorite salad?
In this case, it's the word lamp in the title. I only know of one other lamp band, and that is the overtly doomy UK outfit, The Lamp of Thoth, featuring the overly melancholic Lord Strange on guitar and vocals and Lady Pentagram on drums. Pretty witchy, pretty weird. But in the case of the, of course, Olympia, Washington moniker Lamp of Murmur, I was pleasantly surprised at the riffiness, the percussive acumen, the vibrant production, and that incredibly indecipherable logo.
The t-shirt's been ordered.
It's, of course, a one-man project of M. Not even Mr. M. Just M. Not Eminem. M. And judging from his Metal Archives page, he's gotten super busy, super quick, releasing handfuls of full albums with Lamp of Murmur, as well as his other projects, Silent Thunder, Funer Hot, and Magnus Lord. Since forming Lamp back in 2019, he's shown an affinity for lengthy titles like Air of Ecliptical Romanticism and Melancholy Howls and Ceremonial Pestilence. Doubt that you're going to get a Pet Sounds or a Kid A out of this guy anytime soon, but I admire the integrity.
His latest album, The Dreaming Prince and Ecstasy, consists of 9 tracks, most in the 6 to 9 minute range, with a couple of short, creepy keyboard bits in between for good measure. The epic 9-minute piece, Forest of Hallucinations, combines very crunchy guitars and double bass workouts, quite conducive to headbanging, frosted with quite a proggy keyboard vamp. The riffing is quite Slayer in form, but the majesty of the keyboard flourishes suggests Bathory or Manowar floating around in his sonic psyche. Let's play a clip. This is Forest of Hallucinations. Reincarnation of a Witch is another interesting title, taking off on a very thrash-friendly pace with harmonized guitar solos flitting in and out of each channel. Soon we're blasting like crazy as keyboards vault over the ratty riffing until we finally get to his witchy rasp around the 130 mark. Pretty soon all hell has broken loose with deft rolls, swooning riffs, and fist-in-the-air chorus that falls away at a clean guitar segment reminiscent of Prime Dissection.
The title track is divided into 3 sections, each over 6 minutes in length, so opt for your comfiest monk robe for this one. The first movement cycles through some of the best flash rockin' riffola on the whole disc. Sorry, I went Johnny Fever there for a minute. But it's mostly drumming at ludicrous speed and pompy keys with M filibustering magnificently over the whole thing. The second part has a bit of an 80s camp vibe about it with downright danceable riff, with M busting out his gothy clean vocals like he's fronting New Order all of a sudden. Third movement is over 9 minutes long, back to the processional chugs from the first half, then a sudden step into a tight thrash a la Vector just to keep things interesting. It succeeds. This is an album packed with great riffs, smart changes, seasoned musicianship, and the occasional wild surprise that makes it hard to pigeonhole, so I'll try to parakeet-hole them as an avant black with hints of prog. Fans of Children of Bodom, Sacramentum, or any of the other bands I've been name-dropping should get under the lamp urgently before the power goes out and we're all fucked. Let's play a clip. This is The Dreaming Prince in Ecstasy, Part 2.
Okay, Sounds of Decay 3 is the new album from Agriculture called The Spiritual Sound. I've never understood the end-of-year avalanche of new releases. Almost nobody puts out a major release in January or February because it seems every artist wants their new album to come out in October. Is this holiday shopping related? Because we went to the mall and picked up some engraved letter openers for Aunt Marie, a new pair of Vans for Uncle Travis, and the brand new Demoniac CD flown in special from Valparaiso, Chile. Does this actually happen?
But what it means in the world of reviews is we have to be damn picky about what gets a spotlight during the silly season, as I call it. I was not familiar with the Los Angeles-based 4-piece known as Agriculture at all. Seeing their profile page on Metal Archives, they look like kids waiting in line for teenage fan club tickets. Not punishing black metalers. No corpse paint or chains or leather, just good vibes.
Seriously, the band describes their music as ecstatic black metal because of how happy it makes them to play it. Luckily, I heard them before I saw them. Lead-off track from their latest disc, The Spiritual Sound, is a thorny riff monster packed with ADHD riff changes, groovy chugs, reverb-drenched witch rasps, and dissonant skronks. Then things get really weird around the 2-minute mark as drummer Kern Hogg shifts to a ludicrous blast and a vocal that sounds like a sex bot crooning out a lullaby. Truly weird. Think about a steel cage match between Thou, the Cocktail Twins, and several parakeets singing Happy Birthday in different cadences. Oh, and throw in ridiculous amounts of unprocessed adjacent guitar shred. Let's hear a little. This is My Garden.
Flea shift styles almost as deftly. Hell-blazing black metal blasts fall away to a warm bass breakout and soft coos from bass player vocalist Callie Bello. The two sides switch back and forth several times over the course of 5 minutes and manage to slide in a wild lyrical guitar solo from six-stringer Dan Meyer. You will not know if you're listening to Tra or the Pixies, but it's about as engaging as new music can be. Alleluia is interesting. It's not a cover of that damn John Calling Neil Cohen. Dan Meyer clucks out some wild acoustic guitar gymnastics and chord slash while crooning out his best Neil Young impersonation. On this album, you get the feeling that anything can happen and will. Around the 3-minute mark, the full band kicks in with speeding drums and herky-jerky guitars, stopping and starting like a UPS truck.
Must mention Dan's love song, which cycles through several minutes of introspective croons and shoegazy guitar scribbling with crisscrossing vocal and guitar melodies and no need for drums whatsoever. Beautiful music. Indie kids can play black metal, it's okay. Sure, the purists won't want anything to do with it, a band that plays black metal while quoting Buddhists with boutique wardrobes. But for those of you more interested in substance than image, this is an album that will reveal new charms with every repeat listen. Enjoy this one, because in a couple of months, the only new release on the horizon will be the Spin Doctors reunion live at the Dothan, Alabama 4th of July barbecue. So get on this now. This is Flea. We talked a lot about weird coincidences and places to get stuck.
Yeah, that's a whole weird rabbit hole. There's even more coincidences
I know.
between Lincoln and Johnson. I just ran out of room.
It was really, really creepy. I didn't know anything about that. I've watched JFK like 6,000 times.
And to think that so many things are 100 years apart on the dates of birth and that year.
Yeah.
It's like this
Well,
100
technically,
cycles?
technically, though, I think we can say that Lee Harvey Oswald did not shoot him. Technically. I mean, he wasn't even on that floor, according to the documentary we watched. But
So bizarre.
come at us in the comments.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe he was on the grassy knoll. Maybe it was 5. I don't know. Was there farting?
This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to Adam from Orm for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme by Gustav Ewart of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme by Steve Rathbone of Lair of the Minotaur. Sounds of Decay bands featured this week. Check them out. Chained to the Dead, Agriculture, and Lamp of Murmur. All content 2025, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Think outside the box, Stace.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.